Hi, it's John Robertson here. Today we're going to talk about time management, an age-old topic. You know, one of the first self-improvement programs I ever bought was back in the 80s, and then a good chunk of that was on time management, and yes, it was on a cassette tape. Some of you may not even have seen one of those. But really, the subject of time management is not so much actually time management, is it? Because we can't manage time. It's really activity management is really what we're talking about. So today I've got 4 or 5 keys that I want to just suggest to you that might be of help. They've been a big part of my activity management and how I manage to get so much done every week. So the first one I want to talk about is to give yourself the gift of limitations. You can't do it all, so just stop trying. For big projects, which is really a large part of what we're talking about here, you can really only focus on one at a time. There's enough science and enough research around now to say that, or to be sure that our prefrontal cortex is unable to multitask. That's the part of our brain that's responsible for our executive functions. So it's our conscious brain. And when we try and multitask, all we're doing is rapidly switching from one task to another, and that's incredibly inefficient. So instead of doing that, just choose one thing. You say, well, which one should I pick? I've got a half a dozen on my desk right now that need action. Well, look, it probably doesn't matter which one you pick. If it does matter, it will be pretty obvious. There is a book by Gary Keller, which I've found very useful over the last probably 5 to 10 years, and it's called The One Thing: The Surprising Simple Truth Behind Extraordinary Results, and it's worth a good look. He's got some really key points in there, and some of this material is based on what he says. The other definition too that I've used over the years for focus is stop doing. So do I have a stop doing list? What am I going to stop in order that I can focus on what I really should be focusing on? The next point I want to talk about is what I call clever concocting. So what you need to do is block out an uninterrupted patch of your calendar to concoct a plan. Whatever time you need, block that out. If you're like me, all you really want to do is actually get going and do the work. You don't want to plan for it. And some of us are very much like that, and it's a greater discipline for us to sit down and concoct a plan because it doesn't come naturally. We're doers, not so much thinkers. Well, that's speaking for myself. In terms of time, once it's spent, you can't buy it back, can you? And, we all know about that. I've recently, it sounds a bit odd, I have counted my days. I've counted the number of days, sounds a bit morbid, doesn't it, that I have left on this planet if I live to a certain age. And that number was 10 to 12,000 days. That's not a lot, is it? So think about it. You're planning your life. It's really important. The next thing I want to talk about is, the next heading, if you like, is cage your inner procrastinator. You can probably tell that these headings come from my own experience, and my word, procrastination has been a beast for me over the years. I know it's a fight. It's always a fight, but it's an important fight. You're fighting for your vision, for your mission, your purpose, your why, what's really important for you in your life. And so it's really worth showing up to that battle. The battle is your calendar, and it's so easy to get distracted. Excuses like, I'm bored, I've just got distracted, the phone's rung, someone's just walked into my office, my email's going, my Slack channel's pinging off, social media needs a look at. There's 1,000 things. We live in a very constantly on world, don't we? Distractions, they're highly successful at pulling us away from our important tasks. And also, many of them are extremely addictive. Yeah, it's hard, but you've got to pay the dream tax, the price of achieving your dreams. It has to be paid. The next thing I want to talk about is first hour magic, is what I call it. So how to 10x your productivity in less time. That's the only hour of the entire week where you set aside time to make these important decisions for the week. What is your normal Monday morning routine? Or, I presume you start on a Monday. What is your normal Monday morning routine? For many of us, it's been the most important 3 or 4, or not important, the most busy 3 or 4 hours of our entire week. Things tend to build up over the weekend. We've had thoughts, we've had ideas. So we have our colleagues, we've had clients waiting to see us for a couple of days. They turn up. And you've got your email to check, as I said, your Slack, your social media, whatever else it is, planning for the week. So instead of letting those things drive your activity at the beginning of your week, set aside intentional time, 1 hour, to get intentional about getting down a plan for your week, where you block out your entire calendar from Monday to Friday, every hour of your work week, and get it all set and ready to roll. Then you don't have to worry about making decisions or planning throughout the week. You show up to your calendar and it will tell you what you have to do next. So planning these decisions, first thing, it's such an important thing. And when I think about it, there really are 4 key rules, and you can probably guess what they are, to this 1 hour magic. The first one is to turn off your telephone. Second one, your computer. So either shut it down or put it on flight mode to make it easy, whatever works for you, but don't let it distract you. And then choose a silent, quiet place where you cannot be interrupted. Don't go to a cafe like I used to. Don't do it in a busy shared office space. I mean, it's not going to work. And then use the time exclusively to make decisions for your week. It may not take you a full hour, but give yourself an hour. So what you need to do is a complete brain dump onto one sheet of paper of everything that's likely to be on that list for your week, and include all of your requirements, your plans, your free time, your lunch time, regular occurrences, tasks, and then to add to that, you need to put in every day some focus time. Focus time can be ideally a couple of hours of your most important time when you are at your prime. For me, my prime time is in the morning. That's when I'm the freshest. So block out that time, and that's the time where you work uninterrupted on your most important stuff. You have your notifications turned off. You can't be interrupted, and you get to your most important task in that time. Also on the side, you need a 1-day maybe list, just things that you're not going to put into your calendar for the week, but which do need to be done and you don't want to forget about. And so what I do is, when I get to my calendar and I find that I've got an appointment that's been cancelled, or I've got a task I've got through quicker than expected, I've got some free time on my calendar, I grab my 1-day list and I pull something off that list, and I'll knock that off there and then. So as I said, make sure you plan every single hour of your work week. Now you're ready to start your week. Your last hour magic as well. Your last hour magic, capture what's happened during the week, celebrate your wins, and put into a short list. Start your list for Monday morning with a couple of things that you haven't finished that need to be carried over to the next week. Well, that's all for that. Thanks for listening.